If you love me, won't you? Love me, won't you? If you love me, won't you say something? If you love me, won't you?
What is up, guys? I am David.
And I'm Stephanie.
And welcome back to our channel. Hey.
Yes, welcome back, guys. In today's video, we're going to be letting you guys know 5 things we wish we would have known when we moved in with each other.
And really quick, before we start, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you get an alert every time we post. We're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
There you go.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. My Instagram is Vargas with 6 S's and 1 underscore.
My Instagram is @Benua with 2 underscores.
And our joint account is @David and Steph Official. So don't forget to go hit us up on there.
Alright guys, so let's dive into the first tip. And the first tip is that we had to be patient with each other. We both had to confirm that we are both living in the same living space. For me, the main thing was that she only came here with a certain amount of things, and I had to be patient with her.
We had a very small room. When I moved in with him, it was a small room, and David had a lot of stuff. He had clothes that he's never worn. He had shirts from like kindergarten. He had a bunch of stuff, and I wasn't able to fit my stuff right away. Even though I did come here with just 1 luggage, it was very hard for me to fit my stuff in his room. I think mostly because it wasn't organized as well. So then he had to be patient with me trying to organize his room so then I could fit my stuff into his room.
Right, and I also had to understand that Steph only came here with like $800, so I had to be patient with the fact that I had to give her rides to work. I had to take her to wherever she needed to, and it was kind of like on me to make sure she gets to where she has to be. So that was definitely like something I had to
work on.
Yeah. And kind of like that, from that I had to realize that it wasn't just me. Like it wasn't me. It was us. It was Stephanie and I. It was we had to do this. We had to get this done. I have to do this. You know, it was just that partnership that I had to get used to since I've been, I wasn't used to that.
No, he wasn't used to that because he was alone and he was like an only child too, which I was too. But the reason why I think I was more of a partnership person was because my mom and my stepdad are like one person. It's crazy. They have everything together. They do everything together. So I'm like used to that. So then I come here and I'm just like, hey David, it's like me and you. And David's like, no, it's me. And I'm just like, wait, what? So I had to kind of work with him to kind of get him to the place that we are now, because now it's like now it's like me and him for real, like everything is just us. Before it was kind of like David and then like Steph, like it wasn't together.
Now that kind of leads us to the next topic, was that, well, that kind of leads us into the next tip, which is put yourself in the other's shoes. So what I had to understand was that she was coming from a different country. She had to minimalize her things, so she only had a certain amount of stuff that she's bringing over, and I had to find a way to fit all of her stuff into my stuff.
I think that I was very selfish when I came here because what I was thinking was, well, I had to get rid of all my stuff. Like I could only come here with a certain amount of things, so then it should be no issue for him to throw his shit away. Excuse my language. But that's how I felt, and I was like, why is he giving me such a hard time when I'm telling him to make space for me? But what I had to understand is that I chose to minimalize my stuff because I was cheap. Let me tell y'all, I didn't want to pay for another luggage. I was like, hell no, I'm not paying for another luggage. I need money because I'm gonna need money till I get a job. I start getting paid so then I can get a car. So I was like, I'm not getting a luggage.
Which is another thing I had to understand, that was that she was starting from zero. She had to build herself. She came from living where she didn't really had to work for a lot of her things.
Yeah.
Like
I wasn't working. I was going to college and my mom was paying for everything. I started working for my uncle, and I talked about this on my other video, but I started working so that I could come here with a little bit of money so then I can build myself here. So I didn't want to pay for another luggage, and I was kind of being selfish, like, David, get rid of your stuff. I got rid of mine. It's no biggie.
Right.
But the thing is, I chose to do that. He didn't choose to do that. I was kind of forcing him to. So I kind of had to understand, like, hey, I'm invading his space. I have no right to tell him to get rid of his stuff because I'm coming into his life. It's like if he came into my life and it's like, Stephanie, get rid of your makeup. Excuse me?
Yeah.
No. So you kind of have to be understanding and put yourself in that person's shoes. Like, are you doing the right thing? Would you like someone to tell you that, You are 2 different people with 2 two different mindsets and two different lives. So you have to understand and put yourself in that person's shoes and like situation. So the third thing that we wish we knew before we moved in together is that we needed to have good communication. And I wish we would have known this and actually practice having good communication, because we had shit communication.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the most important thing you should have before moving in with anybody. Like, good communication is key, and we didn't have that. And we're just gonna be honest with you guys. A lot of our arguments were really misunderstandings because we wouldn't talk. Like I said, we're two different people and we deal with things two different ways.
Right.
So
so kind of how I dealt with myself, first of all, I'm very hot-headed. I'm an Aries, so all the Aries, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm hot-headed, so I'm prone to just snap in an instant. I've actually worked on it a lot though, especially since we started dating. I've worked on my anger and how snappy I am. Now I try to, calm down, be patient. If I really, really have to, I would step out. I just take a break, kind of like for a second, just to cool down, and then so I can have kind of like so I can be level-headed. Then the second thing that kind of ties into the first one is that I'm very bad at speaking, like of explaining how I feel. And this was an issue for us both because I would start explaining how I feel and
it would come out completely wrong. And then I'm like, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's how you feel? And then he's like, no, that's not how I feel. And then this is where it comes to how I am. I will completely shut down. If you say something to me and the way you said it and I understood it, that's it. It's done. There's no coming back from that, and I will shut down. And you will know when I have an attitude because I'm like, yeah. And I would just stop talking. I would like go to the extreme. Like if you tell me like you hug me too much, I'm like, oh really? Okay, cool. And then I will never hug you again.
Yeah, it's rather hot or cold.
Yeah, like it's like one extreme, or it's like I do the most or I don't do anything at all. So that was one of our biggest issues, I think.
Yeah, and that kind of like led me to try not to explain myself as much, or try not to like really tell her how I feel sometimes, because I didn't want her to just shut down like that.
Yeah, that was bad too. I remember that.
Yeah.
David would sometimes just not tell me anything, and I'm just like what's wrong? And he's like, oh, nothing, like nothing's wrong, because he knew that something bothered him about me and he was gonna tell me. I would just stop doing it completely.
Right.
I remember that.
But now, I mean, we've been a lot better with that. That's still like a work in progress, but we've been a lot better. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna be calm, and we're gonna just be like, hey, this is how I feel about this. Now we know to take turns when we talk instead of interrupting each other. So we just have to sit down, we talk about it, we talk it through. We could talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take us, but we're going to take that time to really explain and develop how we feel about each other.
I think another thing too is like sometimes you're not gonna agree. So we would sit down and talk like, hey, this is how I feel. And then, okay, and this is how I feel.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, okay, well, I respect the way you feel and you respect the way I feel. Let's just leave it there, because we're not gonna come to an agreement sometimes.
Right. And that's whenever we say like, let's agree to disagree. And then we just kiss each other and then move on with our lives.
Yeah.
You know?
Another thing too is we've never gone to sleep mad. I don't think. Like even if we have argued or something, we always go like, hey, like I'm sorry for anything I've done today. Have a good night. I love you so much. Like we don't go to sleep mad, because God forbid something happens to us in our sleep, and that's the last thing that, oh my God, I would die.
Terrible.
But yeah, that is one of the major keys, is to have good communication, and really don't be afraid to tell your significant other how you feel. Like they should understand, and they shouldn't give you shit for feeling the way you're feeling. Like if you feel some type of way, you need to tell them, or else it's just gonna keep building up, and then you're just gonna explode. And that sucks. Like you don't want that, because then they're like, wait, what are you mad about? Because you never told them ever. Sometimes it's your fault if you're not telling that person how you feel, because if you tell them, then maybe they'll change right away. You know?
Yeah, maybe it's something that it's an easy fix and then they didn't notice that it bothered you. So you never know, guys. All right, and our next step is be open to each other's needs. For me, is I had to be open to reorganize my room to fit Stephanie's stuff in, and that was definitely an issue for me, just because I was so established on how I organize my things and how I have my placement and what I own and what I don't own. So I was very organized with that. So that was definitely a big thing for me was to be open on organizing, minimalizing, organizing in period. I had to conform to organizing how she likes to organize.
Yeah, so then I could fit all of my stuff. Another thing was, I grew up, like I said, my mom and my stepdad shared everything. So that meant that they shared bills and they shared like bank accounts and stuff like that. So I came here like, hey, like let's join everything together and just pay everything together, have an account. And then he was just like, no, like why would we do that? And that's also when it comes to him being like me, and me being like us, you know, like it's me and David. And he was like, no. That was something we had to
work on
And then the next thing,
the reason why I didn't want us to have everything on the same bill, not the same account, is because I honestly thought she meant like let's put all of our money together in one place. I don't know how I feel about that. It isn't that I don't trust her, it's just I want to have that just in case. Like what if she were to flip the switch and then decide
take all that money and leave?
Yeah, so that's what I was afraid of, because I've seen that happen to other people. But it was just kind of like an issue for me. I don't mind sharing. I don't mind taking her out for dinner. I don't mind, buying her stuff. I don't mind spoiling her. It's just I didn't want to have the same account because of that.
Yeah.
And that was another, that kind of ties into like a misunderstanding, because Stephanie,
communication.
Yeah, the miscommunication was because Stephanie meant as in we just have all of our bills and then we just split it in half.
Yeah, to put all the bills on one card, so then that card gets charged for all the bills and we just pay them on that card.
Right.
So it's not like on one person's card.
And it's easier to keep track of too, instead of having it like, oh, I paid this, so give me part of that. Oh, I paid this, give me part of that. It was just, okay, so this is what was paid on this card, and this is what we're gonna pay for, half.
Or like traveling too, like that would be so cool if we just have a card and we just swipe it to travel. You know, like when we're traveling, so it's not like, oh, I'm paying today or you're paying. Like it's like, oh, we are paying.
Right.
So that kind of ties into our last advice, which is compromising. We don't have a joint account yet. I think it's a really good idea and it would help us a lot, especially now that we have a house together. We have more bills, so I think it would make more sense. But we do pay all of our bills straight down the middle. We combine everything, all of our stuff, and then just pay half on everything, which helps a lot. I think that if we didn't, one of us will be paying more than the other, and I don't think that's fair, because we're like a joint, we're like a union. So we're the unit. So we should be paying together. That's just my thinking.
Yeah, we're here to help each other out. So if I have to pay more for this, then she has to pay more for another thing. We're kind of like have it very equal.
That's true.
Another thing that I had to compromise to was Stephanie having her own beauty room. That was devastating for me. Because before, how we had it set up was that Stephanie had her vanity. Like her vanity next to my computer, like my own editing station, and in the studio. So I can be editing and she could be doing her makeup, or I can be doing shoots and we can have that little beauty station for like the models and stuff like that. What ended up happening instead, which I had to compromise to, was that Stephanie just used the spare room as her own beauty room, which is great because now the beauty room is our
filming studio.
Yeah, our filming studio. So we just film over here since it sounds a lot better. It's
smaller and I think there's like more light too.
Or not more light, but more control over the light.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happened was that I feel like me seeing David have his own studio and we had a spare room. We have 3 rooms. We have an extra one. And I was like, oh my God, like I want a beauty room. I want to turn this into a Stephanie space. And David was, at first when I came to David with the idea, he was kind of like, no, like why would we do that? And so then me having bad communication, I was like, okay, like that's fine, that's okay. And then he was like, but like why would you want to do that? And I was like, well, like you have your space, so then I can have my space. And that was literally, I think, the last argument we had, because David was so heartbroken for some reason that I was gonna leave his side. He's like, well, I just thought that we were gonna be like a couple, like, like next to each other, and I could do my work and you can do your work. And I was just like, I'm in the same house. Like, I'm not leaving. I'm just moving my vanity to a different room. Like, I can still come over. And I remember when I first got the room, I got some new makeup and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do my makeup. He's like, no. Just come to the studio and do your makeup. And he has a mirror in the studio, put a blanket at the bottom so then I can do my makeup next to him. So that was our last tip, and I really hope that all these tips helped you guys. We wish we would have known these from the get-go. But
from the get-go.
Why you always make fun of me?
Fucking Gecko.
Why are you always making fun of me? I'm trying out new vocabulary.
She's trying.
Stop. Okay.
Alright.
So I really hope, I'm just gonna keep that in because that's really what I meant. I hope that it helped you guys from the gecko. Oh wait, what? Hold on.
Huh?
You didn't like the gecko?
Gecko, but you said it like gecko, like the animal. Get go.
Oh,
Now you know why I'm making fun of
güey.
Mira, güey.
You're so mean to me.
I'm not.
Stop. I'm gonna punch you in your face. Listen, guys. Ya. Okay, bueno. Alright guys, so that was our last tip, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope these tips helped you guys. We wish we would have known this from the beginning, but we didn't, so we struggled a little bit. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
You're so funny. That's
No, I'm
why.
not. I'm not funny.
You're hilarious. Yeah, serious.
I was serious. You
I
should talk to
wasn't.
yourself.
I wasn't. You should restart that.
What do you think we got? Time? We got no time for this. David,
Okay.
get your shit together. Okay, yeah? Okay, guys. Well. Alright, guys. Stop.
Bro, no me pegues, güey.
Pendejo. Ya. Okay. I hope your abuelita liked this advice. But yeah, that's our last tip. Thank you so much for watching this video and sticking around. If you guys want to know more about our relationship or what we've done.
Alright, and if you guys want to see more content like this, let us know. Drop it down in the comments and let us know what else you would like us to talk about.
Yeah.
So don't forget, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is going to be our posting schedule. From September 13th through the 19th, we're going to be in New York. So if you catch yourself in New York City, hit us up, grab some coffee, grab some pizza, and let's get to know each other.
Some bagels.
Some bagels, some New York bagels,
Some cream
butter,
cheese.
little.
Yes. All right, guys. But yeah, this was our video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and had a blast with us. We sure did. But yeah, let us know if any of these tips helped you guys out and what you guys thought and down in the comments. And we'll be here next Friday because this is going up on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I mean, whatever. Yeah, sure. Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Do the. Want to stop it?